People think that fitness gave me confidence because of the way that I look, but that's not why. Fitness didn't just change my body, it changed how I see myself. Before the gym, which was the real starting point, I was 12 years old and I was anxious, I was depressed, and I had really low self-esteem. I wasn't even going to school, and I felt weak mentally. I had no control over my emotions or my actions, and life was just happening to me, not because of me, per se. And my confidence wasn't missing because of my looks, right? I didn't really care about, when you're 12, you don't care about that. It was missing because I didn't trust myself. And at about 12, 13 years old, I started going to the gym. Nothing dramatic really changed in me. There was no big motivation montage. There was no big plan. It was just showing up. I was doing crunches in my room. I was doing these stupid workouts that you see online. And I was really bad at it. I have a video of me when I was 13 doing these terrible bicep curls. And I was really bad at it. But at the starting stages, it wasn't about progress. It was about just the routine and sticking to something and knowing that I could stick to something for a long period of time. It didn't make me confident. It just gave me structure where I had none. And as I said, I wasn't even going to school, so I didn't have that structure. And the real shift was just keeping promises to myself that I'd made to myself. It wasn't, I had a 100-kilogram bench press, which I didn't at that, at 15, 14. Or it wasn't like, oh, you have a six-pack now. It was just about going and doing something when I didn't feel like doing something. It was training on bad days when something bad had happened that day, and just showing up when I didn't want to. And this is where confidence comes from. Now, I won't say I'm the most confident person ever, but I would say that I am happy with who I am as a person, and I'm self-assured. And that confidence of showing up every day, even when I didn't want to, resulted in trusting myself. Every workout was a vote for the person who I said I wanted to be that day. Now, I think it's important to touch upon the difference between discipline and motivation, because a lot of people get these mixed up. Motivation comes and it goes. Discipline stays. Going to the gym taught me consistency. It taught me delayed gratification. It taught me that progress takes time. Things that are worth working towards and having take time. And that mindset carried over to school, it carried over to work, it carried over to business and just life decisions in general, right? For example, at school, 12, 13, I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't working or going to school. But at 14, 15, 16, I ended up being self-taught. So I still didn't go to school, but I made progress in that domain. And I did really well for my A-levels, my GCSEs. Then after that, at work, I did good at work. I became a chartered accountant. And now at business, I can't say that I've succeeded at that yet, but I feel like I'm consistent day to day because of the gym. It gave me confidence because I knew I'd show up even when I was uncomfortable. So I knew I could achieve what I wanted to achieve. And I think people who aren't into fitness sort of mistake it with vanity. And it's not about vanity. It's more about identity. It stopped being about, initially it was somewhat, about I want to look jacked, but especially now it's not. It's more about just feeling good about myself, having self-respect, being stable mentally, because it helps you have an avenue to get rid of this excess energy you have. It helps you gain control over your life because you're slowly seeing progress in the gym, and that's a part of your life you can control almost absolutely, right? Whereas life has its ups and downs, whereas gym is going to be consistent and it will help you return to your baseline even when you're down low or if you're very high, And the confidence that resulted from that, it wasn't loud, it wasn't cocky, it was just quiet and internal. And when you respect yourself, confidence just becomes a side effect of that. Now, here's just a message to you if you're watching. If you feel lost, if you feel anxious, if you feel behind, Start with something physical, right now, today. Not for aesthetics, not to look better, but for structure, for discipline, for identity. And fitness, it didn't fix my life overnight. I was still depressed and anxious, but it gave me the tools to build a life that I wanted to live in. If this helped, please subscribe.